Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 115 of Hobby Quick Hits, your every Monday podcast on the hobby, just me and a topic. And today's topic is consolidation, right? I'm titling this Consolidation, Quality Over Quantity. And, you know, at first I think I was doing it subconsciously, and then it became more of a conscious effort. What am I talking about? Having less cards here in my office, in my house, and not worse cards, just less cards. And so I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff through selling at shows and platforms, and being real more particular in what I acquire. And even though I've PC more stuff now than a few years back, what I PC are graded Hall of Fame rookie cards, and so. I have less cards than I've ever had in my whole hobby career, if you will, but the value of my collection is the highest it's been, and that's even with the softening market we have now. So obviously some of that has dropped in the last year or so, but so it was even more, let's say, last year at this time, but just this, well, maybe not, because I've acquired some cards in between then, but you know, I have less cards than I've ever had as far as count-wise, but value-wise, if you care about those things, and most collectors do. You know, we've had that old argument, right? Oh, I don't do it for, that. And that's fine, and a lot of people don't, but everyone wants to know, what some of their cards are valued at, even those who don't do it for financial reasons. And so my inventory is at a high of all time. And that includes, during my store days, which was, quite frankly, a whole different hobby in 1992 to 1997. And like I said, I don't think it was conscious at first, but now it definitely is. I'm real picky with what I acquire. I sort of go into a show, whether that be a national or Dallas or even a local show that I go to, with just a few cards sort of on a hit list to pick off. And, there's always an exception to the rule. In Dallas, I picked up that Pee Wee Reese autographed exhibit card, which was a cool find. But, other than that, every other card I bought was on a target list. And that's where I'm at. And collection-wise, I'll still buy collections to maybe resell as part of my show inventory. But I'll tell you the truth. I haven't even replenished my show inventory in the same way as I used to be. At 49 years old, be 50 in November, I don't know if I want to do shows, into my, late 50s and 60s. I'm not saying I don't want to go to shows. I want going to shows, but I don't know if I want to be behind a table for 8 hours each day. At that time, I like walking around and looking at things and talking to people. Not that you can't do that at your table, but not exactly the same. So I kind of, see myself sort of even phasing out the show part of my hobby and just really going PC. And obviously, want to have less cards, coming down the home stretch. I know Dr. James Beckett has kind of said that's one of his things he's trying to do. And sometimes we're better at it than others, right? We say that, and then we, buy a bunch of cards. It happens to the best of us. And but that's where I'm at. And this show's going to talk about that and sort of my MO there. And again, hobby your way, right? This is just the way that I've sort of, a direction I've sort of decided to go in. So we're gonna talk about that. First, we're going to hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Breaks. Then we're going to go into the new releases, hobby news, Q&A, and then we're going to tackle the topic of consolidation.
MojoBrickshop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Hey guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop in New Buffalo, Michigan, and I'm back here again with the weekly releases for the Sports Card Nation podcast. This week, on the 8th, we're starting off with 2021-22 Panini Noir Basketball, 2021 Top Star Wars Bounty Hunter, 2022 TriStar Hidden Treasures Football Mini Helmet Platinum Edition, 2021-22 Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey Retail Tin. On the 9th, we have 2022 Onyx Vintage Collection Baseball. On the 10th, we have 2022 Break King Memorial Memorabilia Vault Case, 2022 Panini Absolute Baseball, 2021 Panini Obsidian Baseball, Football. And then we have 2021-22 Pro Set Power Basketball, 2022 Super Break Supercharged Edition Series 2, 2022 Top Series 2 Baseball Hobby, 2022 Top Series 2 Baseball Jumbo. Have a nice week and enjoy your collecting.
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, let's go over the weekly news, starting with a grading story. Actually, a couple. CSG is raising prices. Stop me if you've heard about grading card companies raising prices. Not too bad here. Small percentage-wise in comparison to some of the other raises and increases we've seen. Their bulk rate is going from $12 to $15. Their economy is going from $20 to $25. Their standard level is going to from $30 to $35. The express level from $60 to $70, and they expect shipping times to be improved slightly, and everything will be insured. So they're promising a little better on turnaround and shipping, insurance, and coverage and all that stuff, but small increase there. Gem Rate has come out with their totals to grading totals. I believe these are monthly totals. 1.6 million cards submitted this month. PSA leading the way with 900K submissions. Second place is what's been traditional now. Get used to it. SGC, 96K. BGS in third with 88K. And CSG, we just talked about them, with 76K in subs. So PSA and SGC lead the way, and to me, they're the 1 and 2 grading card companies now. Truth be told, some may not agree, but I think the proof's in the pudding there. Collectible has added a new employee, formerly of the Stock Exchange Commission. He was the chairman there from May of 2017 to December of 2020. His name is Jay Clayton. He will be taking more or less a compliance type role at Collectible, just to make sure everything's above board. There is a new fractional company, I'm not going to mention them by name, that's getting a little criticism early for not having sort of being SEC registered. So we'll see how that plays out. But Collectible trying to do everything above board and putting people in place to keep it that way. If you're a fan of Ted Simmons and you want stuff from his personal collection and playing career, head to Heritage Auctions. He has put some of his personal items on that auction site for auction. So check it out there. And SCP Auctions got 2 late additions to their current auction. 2 great items, if you ask me. In 1933 Gaudi Lou Gehrig SGC 9, really pretty looking. Going to command a top dollar there. And one that's near and dear to my heart. I'll never probably own it, but if you want to buy it for me and gift it to me, I would really appreciate it. What is it? Jackie Robinson's debut ticket stub from April 15th, 1947. There's 8 graded copies known to exist, and one of them is available on SCP Auctions for bidding. A few days left, though. If you're listening to this on show release, I believe there's a few days left to get your final bids in to win those 2 beauties of cards and ticket stubs.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, this week's question comes by way of our podcast page, our website. You can leave either a voicemail or a written message there. This was a written message question, and it's from Steve, no last name. And Steve says, congrats, John, on getting your Grail card. Getting it change how you hobby or, what you do hobby-wise in the future? It's a good question. No, not really. I mean, it's an awesome thing to get it, but it's not really. The only thing that's going to change is it wasn't cheap, so I got to reel in the spending here for a few months as we head to Nationals, so I have some money at the Nationals to buy a few more cards, but not really. What my PC or what I'm kind of targeting is graded Hall of Fame rookies, and so that's not going to change. Like I said on this episode, my approach has changed sort of before even the Jackie purchase, as some of my show inventory that I sell when I do shows, I'm not as quick maybe to replace it, and kind of paring down, consolidating my inventory. So I open very little new wax, so I don't have a bunch of, singles and I have base cards and player boxes, but I've just really pared down what I have and kind of focused on, graded Hall of Fame rookies as far as PC goes. As far as will I buy a collection like I sometimes do? Yeah, I've always said on the show and just my mantra, right? If it's a good deal and you can, do a show and make some money on it, I mean, you kind of be foolish not to. But I guess I'm not out there paving the pavement looking for them in the same way as before. And I've really went the vintage route with personal collection and even some of my show inventory. I think that's where the hobby will be the strongest long term, and I enjoy it, quite frankly, more. When I go to shows and walk around and see all that shiny new stuff, I mean, all the cases start to look the same, and you realize how much of that stuff there really is, and you think about how much of that vintage stuff is in landfills, and it's easy to fall in love with it. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the congratulations, and you can ask me a question any social medias, email, and as Steve did, through our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so I coined this episode Consolidation, and I guess that can mean different things to different people. But one thing, I've done cards since I'm 7, so I've owned and possessed cards for 42 years. I started as a collector, obviously, at 7 years old. my first show as a dealer at 15, my first store at 20 years old. Did that for about 6 years and then transitioned to just online sales. And here we are all those years later. And so, at different parts of my hobby journey, my, inventory, my collection, if you will, the amount of cards I've had have fluctuated. Obviously, when I had my store, I probably had the most cards just because of acquiring inventory and wanting to have as much stuff available to the people that walked in our store. But at different times, I've kind of pivoted, right? I've talked about pivoting and doing different things, and nothing wrong with that. For example, when, I had my store in the early 90s, we bought a comic book collection to offer comic books. Comic books were something I collected as a kid. They wound up getting thrown away, unlike my cards. And, when I got out of my store, when I sold my half to my partner and just transitioned to online and traveling, different states just doing card shows, I did not take any comic books. I sold my half of the comic inventory to my partner. I just didn't want to deal with them for a few reasons. Number one, while I knew about them, I wasn't an expert. I didn't know them in the same vein as I knew the cards. And I don't like to carry anything that I don't know enough about. To me, to sell things or have something, I need to explain, inside and out or pretty close to it, what those items are. I also have a passion for them. It's why I don't, do soccer or other sports. I'm not a wrestling guy, so I don't really do wrestling. I'm not an F1 guy. Now, will I buy those products, if offered through like the Montgomery Club to resell? Sure, if I think it's something I could do that with. So again, going back to when I sold my half of the store out, my partner Angelo said, "Hey, do you want to take some of these comic books? How do you want to do that?" I'm like, "No, let's just come up with a price for them that's fair, and I'll sell them, sell them off to you, my half of them, if you will." And one of the reasons I didn't want to take the comic books is just the space they take up, right? And much of my collecting has, become about space saving and really only keeping what I really, really like. And so I've consolidated. I've donated a lot of cards. I did a garage clean out a couple years ago. And even when I buy collections, I have a different approach. I went from, in my younger days, just buying sort of everything and, just to get it all, to sort of trying to, if you want to call it, cherry picking or only buying, select things or select boxes out of a collection. Now, there's some times where the seller will just say, "Listen, here's what I want. I kind of want the same amount, but you got to take it all." And in those cases, obviously, I will. I'll kind of go through it, catalog, keep what I'm going to keep, and then give away some of the other stuff or donate some of the other stuff. I'd be lying and disingenuous if I didn't tell you that I haven't thrown away things, just that maybe were damaged. Junk wax era stuff that was damaged on top of that was just really couldn't utilize it, couldn't give it to, Children's Hospital or any kind of charity for donations. It just didn't check the boxes it needed to go in that direction. But as I get older, I'm really trying to pare down my stuff and actually have less stuff. I've heard other people say they're trying to do the same thing. So I guess I'm trying to get more quality over quantity. And I think when I was younger, I think it was almost the other way around, right? More quantity over quality. Or I tried to do both, but let's be honest. Sometimes that's not always possible. But now I'm trying to, pare down my inventory and get more quality over the quantity. I don't need to win an arms race. I don't need to have 8 million cards or 10 million cards or whatever a record is. Matter of fact, I'd rather have less, but I'd rather have some bigger cards that I'm trying. I've went and made a list of cards I want to knock off my list and acquire, and so that's sort of my goal when it comes to my personal collection, is to knock off some of those bigger cards. It's going to take me a while, and I'm probably not going to ever even get everyone off the list, but it sort of keeps me focused while also allowing me to avoid the pratfalls of sort of buying a bunch of stuff where afterwards I'm going to have sort of that buyer's remorse. Like, why did I buy this? Now it's, in my basement, taking up a bunch of space. It's in my garage, blocking something else I can't get to. And I'm again trying to slim down the inventory profile. Not get bad cards, actually get decent cards, but just more targeted cards rather than just a bunch of everything, especially when I probably have quite a bit of inventory. So that's my approach where I'm at in my hobby journey as I approach my 50s here. Like I've said on Hobby Your Way, I did that episode. You can always pivot. You can always change at any point. There's no, statute of limitations. There's no age limit. It's just, life and death. While you're here, you can hobby and collect, any way you see fit. If that's changing something and selling out of one thing and buying something else, then you can do that. I had someone message me and said, John, I'm getting rid of all my $20 to $50 kind of cards in inventory. I'm selling them all out and getting rid of them or even trading them. And I'm trying to, get 100 to 500 or more value in cards. That's called upgrading, right? So this gentleman's probably going to have less cards if everything works out as planned for him. He's going to have less cards because he's going to have to give up a lot of those $20, $30, $40, $50 cards to buy those 100, 200 and up cards. But he's going to have less cards, taking up less space. He's going to have better cards in terms of, if you will, of value and enjoyment to him. And so, again, nothing wrong with that. And you could go the other way, right? I want more cards and not less. And some people do that as well, and they're not wrong either. My approach now, as I again enter my 50s, is really to have less cards. When that day comes, and my son and wife have to kind of handle what's left and what I've left behind. It's probably better for them if there's less for them to go through than more. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm to be 100% transparent, that's not why I'm consolidating in a way what I do, but it is a small factor to why I'm doing it. Not the big factor, but to say it doesn't enter, my train of thought, I wouldn't be honest in saying that. So that's my approach, kind of a less is more sort of mentality. It works for me. It's created more space here in my home and in my studio office, and it's been beneficial. It's someone asked me, that knows I'm kind of taking that approach, has it saved me money. I wouldn't say it's saved me money. It's got me more focused to where my money's going. And if you listen to my recent show, you realize, about 90 days out from the National, I really shut down my spending and save. So that's, if I'm saving money, it's during that 90-day sabbatical I take before the show. So again, just my approach whenever I do these shows where I kind of focus on what I'm doing. Again, I'm not saying it's the right way, and if you don't do that, you're wrong. I'm just saying it's something I do. Some of you listening might, like it, take a page, and some of you say, hey, not my bag. I'm not doing that, John. I, respect you for doing it, but I'm not taking that approach. But whatever the case may be, as long as you're enjoying the hobby, that's the bottom line. At the end of the day, if you're happy, you're having fun in the hobby, then you're doing something right. All right, that's going to be a wrap for this week's Hobby Quick Hits about consolidation. Thank you out there for listening to the show, downloading the show, making us what we are. I know I say that all the time, but it's true, and it's important to acknowledge you taking, you could be doing something else, but here you are with us, and I appreciate it. Consolidation, it's what I'm doing. It's what certain other hobbyists may be doing, but again, it's not for everybody. One of the reasons, like I mentioned, was, I don't have a big card space. I keep everything here pretty much in my office, almost everything. I want to be truthful. Not everything is in this studio office, but the majority of it is, and it's not a big space, and there's a lot of other things in here on the walls, and have a desk and lighting and all that fun stuff. So I'm, again, as I come down the home stretch here, if you will, I want to sort of have bigger cards, if you will, and lesser cards overall, and just bigger value cards, if you will. Not that I'm looking forward to it, but when I'm not here, right, I don't want a monumental task necessarily for my wife or son. And that's not the only reason. I'm just saying that's a factor in the mix. So we're gonna keep the outro here short and sweet. Once again, thank you out there. Be safe, be well, and we're under 50 days to the National. Hope to see a lot of you there as well.